Shazia Ilmi first, because the charges are being made by the opposition, and I'll get them to make them once again in whatever form they wish. But is there a sense that the BJP has misread the verdict? You're treating 240 as 400. Hum jo karenge wahi sahi hai. We will not give you a deputy speaker. We will arrest Arvind Kejriwal even as his bail plea is coming up before the Supreme Court. How do you respond?
So first of all, I would like to comment on Sam Pitroda's reinstatement. Obviously, Congress party was hoodwinking Indians and Bharatiyas into believing that this was a serious measure that they took against him, and he made it very clear. It was all for effect, just like the khatakhat promise was, and just like everything else. So imagine outsourcing your intelligence and your caliber to a man like Sam Pitroda, whose hubris was hilarious and laughable. A man who talks about riots and says, "Hue to hue." A man who thinks, Rajdeep, that you perhaps are an Arab and I am Anglo-Saxon in some strange way. A man who comes and spends time in the US where he could have learned some basics of political correctness, when even a simple bumpkin in India would know better and have more refinement in the way he will describe fellow Indians. So it's a matter of great shame, really. And I heard the man, in some la-la land he lives. I don't know what on earth. He's the man who said the middle classes should learn to pay more. He's the one who talks about wealth tax. He's the man who talked about African,
He's calling for a
Chinese
conversation and dialogue, ma'am.
And he's been brought back.
Ma'am, you're attacking Sam Pitroda.
One by one.
You're attacking Sam Pitroda. I asked you an entirely different question about 240, 400. Whether the BJP is also in its own hubris.
No,
fair enough. You've made the comment. Sam Pitroda, you're accusing Mr. Pitroda of hubris. The opposition is accusing you of hubris. Ma'am, the opposition is accusing you. Please respond to that. No, please respond to my question.
Exactly. So the answer is there.
Yes.
My answer was exactly to your question. When you insinuate that BJP wants to bulldoze or doesn't care for democracy, this is what I'm telling you. Look, you heard Sam Pitroda. You heard what Congress party is all about. You should have asked this question of them. How can you have a man like that? How can you reinstate a man like that? You talk of democracy? And how rich is that? You know, on the 50th anniversary, these people flay the constitution. The people who have... Indira Gandhi has toppled elected state governments 50 times. Article 356 has been invoked 90 times. You mangled the spirit of democracy by imposing emergency. Not just that, you actually played with the basic structure of the constitution by inserting secular and socialist. And not just that, instead of saying that, you know, we are happy to be here and we will play a more responsible role, you are saying that BJP wants to do away with the idea of deputy speaker, when Kiran Rijiju said very clearly that first the office of speaker has to be discussed. After that, we can discuss deputy speaker.
Okay, so you're saying, okay, ma'am, you made your point. I've listened to you patiently. You made your point. You're broadly claiming who is the Congress to take the moral high ground on the issue of emergency. Mohan Kumaramangalam, respond. Because I think this has been the central plank the BJP has had for the last 2 days. The Congress is no one to waive the constitution and talk of emergency, talk of an undeclared emergency when they brought in an original emergency.
Ultimately, it seems like the Prime Minister and the BJP haven't learned anything from this election. If all the Prime Minister has been doing for the last 10 years, it is dredging up the past. Mrs. Indira Gandhi herself apologized for the excesses of the emergencies. Mr. Rahul Gandhi, in a conversation, I think it was in Cornell when he was asked this, said that the emergency was patently wrong. Now, this is part of our historic past. If they want to keep bringing it up in a way to show that they are somehow superior or they have done no wrong, then the public of India have already told them that they don't trust them enough to give them a full majority. It is there for all to see. Why is Mr. Modi continuing with the same rhetoric that we've heard for the last decade? To me, the news of today is that after a decade, India finally has a constitutional post of the leader of opposition. We have a strong opposition in parliament. As far as Mr. Pitroda goes, in the awful language used by Shazia Ilmi, I would just let her know that Mr. Pitroda has done more for this country by way of creating institutions like the C. than she's ever done. So she should watch her language
but you threw him under the bus. If I may say so, you threw him under the bus when it was convenient during the elections. And now that the elections are over, you're bringing him back. You should have stood up for him. If he was someone who had done so much for the country, why didn't the Congress stand up for him? Then you were intimidated by Mr. Modi and the BJP.
Rajdeep, in the hullabaloo of what was happening during the elections, Mr. Modi was twisting Mr. Pitroda's words every chance he got. It is because of that Mr. Pitroda, as he just told you himself, resigned from the post. He was not removed from the post. He resigned so that he could be, out of the conversation that was happening and the narrative in that election that was set by the Congress, which was centered around people's issues, would be brought back into focus. So Mr. Pitroda was the one who made that call. Okay. And now that the election's over, we implored him to come back. As he said himself, all the presidents of the Overseas Congress wanted him back in that position. And we honored their call for that and brought him back.
Okay.
So let me bring in going beyond Mr. Pitroda. Let me just say one more thing.
Yes.
Shazia says that, Kiran Rijiju says that we'll talk about the speaker and then the deputy speaker. I wonder if they did this last time as well. In the last Lok Sabha, even though Article 93 of the Constitution mandates that there should be a deputy speaker, in the history of independence, India was the first time where we did not have a deputy speaker. And what we are asking for is to follow the constitutional and parliamentary propriety and norms of having someone from the opposition bloc be deputy speaker. It is something that was followed during Vajpayee's term. It was something that was followed during Dr. Manmohan Singh's term. And for some reason, the BJP believes that, or the Prime Minister himself believes that he can talk about reaching across the aisle, around consensus, but he wants to ride roughshod over all of us.
Okay, you made your point. Mohan, I've given you equal time. Let's move on to Jasmine Shah of the Aam Aadmi Party. Jasmine Shah, the Aam Aadmi Party today is claiming that Narendra Modi is behaving like a dictator based on the fact that Arvind Kejriwal has been rearrested by CBI. Thereby, the insinuation is all of this has been done on the Prime Minister's instructions. The BJP claims, look, you have the courts, you're likely to file a bail petition in the Supreme Court. Wait for the courts to decide. Why is everything being attributed to the Prime Minister?
Rajdeep, the entire of today, there was a long hearing in the CBI court, and two things became very clear by the end of it. First and foremost is the manner in which the CBI sprung into action. On 20th of June, less than a week back, after a lengthy process, Mr. Kejriwal was given a bail by the trial court. Immediately a day after, the ED goes to the High Court, and without even the court order of the trial court coming out, it goes and it argues and it says that I do not agree with an order which doesn't exist, and obtains a stay. But the Supreme Court, then we went to the Supreme Court agreed to hear us. But what happens after that? The CBI jumps into action. Now, mind you, this was the same CBI which in April of 2023, 14 months back, it interrogated Mr. Kejriwal for 9 hours. After that interrogation for 14 months, CBI was completely silent. It went out of action. But the moment the Modi government realized that Supreme Court might give relief to Mr. Kejriwal, like it did when it gave interim bail during elections, what does it do? It puts CBI into the boxing ring. And CBI suddenly, after sleeping for 14 months, makes Kejriwal an accused, and today morning even arrests him. There's no rhyme, reason, logic that it says as to why was it sleeping for 14 months. So these are too many coincidences.
Let Shazia,
all these actions. I'll just complete.
Shazia Ilmi, last night.
I want to come in.
Last night, the CBI goes
No, I have not finished, Rajdeep. This is not fair.
Okay, complete.
You've barely allowed me to speak for 30 seconds.
Okay,
I have to finish. One more point I have to make.
Please complete.
Today's very important happening within the court needs to be remarked, and which is that the CBI was caught red-handed by the judge of the trial court lying. What did the CBI say today in the court? It said, it actually made a false statement in front of the judge that it is, Mr. Kejriwal ne palla jhaad diya hai. He has put the entire onus of the scam on Sisodia. Immediately, Mr. Kejriwal stood up and said, show me the statement. I challenge you to show me the statement. And the judge then read of the statement of Kejriwal and told CBI, he has nowhere said this, you are lying. So all this while what AAP has been saying that CBI and ED are only lying. This is a false investigation. It's a false scam. Today CBI was exposed and it was caught red-handed in the court lying in front of a judge. And these two actions, the timing of CBI's action and the manner in which today it argued the matter in the court, and it was court red-handed, makes it very clear.
Okay.
This entire action smacks of vendetta, this entire action smacks of malified, and it is a political vindictiveness which has very few parallels in our country before this.
Before I come to you, Rahul Verma, just be a little patient, because Shazia Ilmi, you need to respond to this. I saw last night that the CBI had gone to Tihar jail to question Arvind Kejriwal, and it came just a day before Mr. Kejriwal's bail petition was to come in the Supreme Court, and there were indications he might well get bail. The timing is very questionable. For 14 months, the CBI does precious nothing. Suddenly, just before the bail petition is to come, you go and arrest him. Then you lie. He's right. Jasmine Shah is right. The CBI lied today in the court. I've seen that they said Arvind Kejriwal had made a statement implicating Manish Sisodia. It wasn't there anywhere. Are we now to believe that this is why the opposition is saying there's an undeclared emergency?
Imagine.
This is what Indira Gandhi used to do.
No, opposition can say anything. You can use semantics.
No, it's not semantics. Challenge me on facts.
You don't want to talk
Challenge
about
me,
it.
ma'am, on facts. For 14 months, why did the CBI do nothing?
You don't want to keep a
Madam, you are not answering my question.
When there's an imagination, when there is speculation of what... Let me finish. Rajdeep, you asked the question.
Yeah, please answer.
You asked the question. I've heard Jasmine. I want to answer each one of the charges made. Clearly.
Please do, ma'am.
So, yes, I want to. So, only if you allow me to speak, right? So, instead of talking about the emergency that has happened, that has seen the darkest days of how our constitution was played with, how the spirit of democracy was squashed, we don't want to talk about that, how it was snuffed. But we want to talk about the undeclared emergency. Where is it happening? What is happening? How are the courts functioning? For everybody to see so many of them, whether it's Sonia Gandhi, whether it's Rahul Gandhi, whether it's Tejasvi Yadav, whether it's Karti Chidambaram or P. Chidambaram, they're all out on bail. Is there any kind of misgiving or any kind of prejudice or bias displayed? No. Manish Sisodia has been in jail. Are you trying to say that right from the Supreme Court to the High Court to the lower courts, all of them are biased against Kejriwal? How deluded is this party to think that they're the most important people? Are there no form of threat to anybody? Least of all, BJP. That's
the CBI, one. So you don't see any coincidence?
Did say
you don't see any coincidence?
I was not behind. It was the idea of... No, let me finish. No, you use the word lie. I will not speak for CBI or ED. Next time, get them on this thing. But Arvind Kejriwal did say that Vijay Nair reported to Atishi and Saurabh. And Arvind Kejriwal did say very categorically that privatization was not my idea.
No, but ma'am, I have to only go by the statement the CBI made in court. Okay.
Who is he attributing this to?
Voice down. No, you made your point. No, I will now, ma'am, I must intervene. Voice down. Jasmine Shah. Jasmine, no, yeah, you can have whatever. You can say, please put the voice down, producer. Jasmine Shah, the point which is being made is the AAP also seems to have this persecution complex. The world is against them. Are you telling me, Jasmine Shah, that you believe no court of this country can be honest? You got a favorable judgment from the trial court. It was overturned in the High Court. You now go to the Supreme Court. You get vindicated in the Supreme Court. You can come back with confidence and say Mr. Kejriwal is being hounded.
Rajdeep, what on earth in my statement suggested that targeting the CBI or ED or the BJP is equivalent to targeting the courts? At all points in time, we are saying we have faith in the constitution of this country. We have faith in the judicial system of this country. Yes, justice does get delayed, especially under horrendous and draconian laws like PMLA, which were created by the Modi regime or amended, especially to make sure that political opponents languish in jail and bail is very, very difficult. But that doesn't mean that the truth will not triumph. The truth did triumph on 20th of June. In a very well-reasoned order, the trial court actually said that every argument BJP spokespersons like Shazia Almi and ED in the charge sheets has been making are complete lie.